Good morning and happy Friday. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Friday edition of The Riley King Show. Today is Friday, January 9th, 2026. Ahead on today's show, the Senate advances to a change to repeal vehicle inspections. House Republicans renew their push to eliminate DEI programs in state government. Lawmakers move forward with defund the Guard bill, reigniting debate over National Guard deployments. And the Emergency Drought Assistance Program reopens as dry wells spread across New Hampshire. We'll also cover Border Patrol shooting that left two people injured, nationwide protest following a fatal ICE shooting in Minneapolis, demonstrators urging ICE to stay out of Merrimack, New Hampshire, Vice President J.D. Vance defending an ICE agent in a rare White House briefing room appearance, the Senate advancing a war powers measure, with several Republicans breaking ranks, and a full sports report. That's all coming up. Let's get started with this Friday edition of The Riley King Show. First up, Senate advances change to a vehicle inspection repeal. On the opening day of the 2026 legislative session, the state Senate approved a modification to the planned repeal of mandatory vehicle inspections. The change would allow auto dealers to disclose any known safety defects in cars and trucks to buyers before a purchase is finalized. House Republicans renew a push to eliminate DEI programs in state government. New Hampshire House Republicans are advancing a renewed effort to roll back diversity, equality, and inclusion initiatives in state government, approving a bill Thursday aimed at dismantling remaining DEI-related health programs. The legislation passed the House on 192 to 159 vote, and it targets the state's Office of Health Access. The office was created last year after lawmakers rebranded the former Office of Health Equality. Supporters of the bill argued the changes are necessary to eliminate what they view as ideological driven policies. Republicans ultimately approved a scaled back version of the proposal that would abolish the Office of Health Access and shift its responsibilities to other divisions within New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services. Backers said the bill would not affect services for people who are blind, deaf, or living with disabilities, and emphasized that federal requirements would still be followed. Democrats sharply criticized the measure, calling it a meaning spirited and warning it undermines efforts to ensure equal access to health care. They argued that health equality focuses on giving all residents a fair opportunity to achieve good health, not on disadvantaging any group. Some lawmakers from both parties also raised concerns about the practical importance and impact of the proposal, noting it would require further restructuring within DHHS at the time when the department is already dealing with staffing shortages and budget restraints. The bill now moves to the House Finance Committee for additional review. House advances defund the Guard bill, renewing a debate over the National Guard deployments. New Hampshire lawmakers on Thursday approved a bill that would require a formal declaration of war before state's National Guard could be deployed to a former foreigner country. The legislation is revised version of the Defend the Guard Act, which the House first passed in 2024. The new proposal adds a provision delaying implications until at least 4 other states enact similar laws, a change supporters say is intended to build border backing and reduce political risk. Supporters framed the bill as a constitutional safeguard to a step towards collective action among states. They argued the delay trigger would allow New Hampshire to act in concrete with others rather than alone. The House previously approved a similar legislation last year, drawing national attention. That bill stalled in the state Senate, where it faced bipartisan opposition, and lawmakers acknowledge the current vision could encounter the same. Opponents warned the measure could have serious financial consequences, including the potential loss of an estimated $55 million in federal funding and resources tied to the New Hampshire National Guard. They argued the legislation could jeopardize the Guard's operational capacity and its relationship with federal government. While the proposal has long been championed by libertarian-leaning lawmakers, several progressive Democrats also spoke in favor of the bill, signaling an unusual coalition around the issue. Supporters said the measure is meant to challenge what they view as federal overreach and resort state authority over military deployments. The bill now heads to the state Senate, where its prospects remain uncertain. Emergency drought assistance program reopens as dry wells spread across New Hampshire. New Hampshire has reopened an emergency assistance program aimed helping families whose private wells have run dry, aimed to the state officials described as a historic drought. The emergency drought assistance program offers financial support and rehabilitate or replacing failing wells to connect homes to existing municipal water systems. State officials say access to clean water has become increasingly urgent as the drought conditions persist across much of the state. If you think about it in terms of everything that we need to support ourselves, water is highest priority. Ted, Assistant Director of Water Division at the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, said. Ted said the state has experienced a dramatic shift in weather patterns, moving rapidly from extreme wetness to severe dryness. He described the situation as unprecedented, noting that New Hampshire went from the wettest spring on record to the driest fall on record. In response to the state's Drinking Water and Groundwater Advisory Commission approved a $1.5 million grant in November to fund the emergency program. The money is intended to offset the high cost of drilling new wells, which Ted said can range from $25,000 to $45,000. For low-income households, that's an extraordinary expense for something you absolutely have to have, he said. Nearly 250 residents have already reported dry wells, according to state officials. Data from DES indicates that more than 700,000 people across New Hampshire are currently living in areas affected by drought. To qualify for assistance, applicants must submit income information along with verification from a licensed New Hampshire well driller or pump installer confirming the well failure. Ted emphasized that reliable access to water is essential for everyday life, from drinking, cooking, to basic hygiene. Applicants with assistance are available through the Emergency Drought Assistance Program's website. 2 injured after Border Patrol shooting during a targeted vehicle stop. The Department of Homeland Security reported that 2 people were injured when Border Patrol agents opened fire during a targeted vehicle stop involving individuals they said were connected to a trendy Guru game. Protests erupts nationwide following fatal ICE shooting in Minneapolis. Demonstrations have broken out in cities across the country in response to the fatal shooting involving an ICE agent in Minneapolis. Protests urge ICE to stay out of Merrimack. There was a protest last night in New Hampshire, in Merrimack, New Hampshire. More than 1,000 protesters gathered at Merrimack Town Hall on Thursday, calling for immigration and custom enforcement to stay out of New Hampshire. The demonstration follows the December report by the Washington Post that identified Merrimack as a potential site for an immigration detention center. According to the article, the proposed facility would serve as a temporary housing for between 500 to 1,000 people. Vance defends ICE agent rare White House briefing room appearance. Vice President J.D. Vance made an uncommon appearance in the White House briefing room, where he publicly defended the actions of the ICE agent involved in a fatal shooting in Minneapolis. Senate advances war power measure as 5 Republicans break the ranks. The Senate voted Thursday to move forward with a war power resolution aimed at restricting additional military action without congressional authorization, as 5 Republican senators broke with the president. And let's talk about some sports right now. We got some sports news on this Friday for all of you. New Hampshire Wildcats women's basketball from last night. New Hampshire Wildcats dropped hard-fought American East matchup last night, falling 69-62 to the NJIT Highlanders. New Hampshire stayed competitive through 3 quarters, trailing just 47-50 entering the final period after matching NJIT point for point in the third. However, the Wildcats struggled offensively down the stretch, scoring only 12 points in the fourth quarter, as the Highlanders pulled away with a decisive 22-point frame. Despite the loss, Wildcats balanced early, keeping the game tight with consistent scoring across the first 3 quarters. The result drops New Hampshire to a 6-10 on the season, while NJIT improved to 11-5. New Hampshire will look to regroup quickly as the conference play continues. Boston Bruins from last night. The Boston Bruins delivered a strong all-around performance last night, skating past the Carnegie Flames with a 4-1 win. Boston set the tone early with 2 first-period goals and maintained control throughout, adding 2 more in the second to build a commanding lead. The Bruins' defense clamped down after that, holding clarity to a single goal while closing out a scoreless third period. The victory improves Boston to a 23-19-2 on the season and provides momentum as Bruins continue to climb in the Atlantic Division standings. Boston Celtics game tonight at 7 p.m. The Boston Celtics are set to host the Toronto Raptors tonight at 7 p.m. in a key Eastern Conference matchup. Boston enters the game 23-13, looking to protect home court and to build momentum against a Toronto squad that comes in at 23-15. Both teams near the top of the standings. Tonight's contest figures to be competitive playoff-style test as the Celtics aim to continue their strong play and keep the pace in the conference race. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Riley King Show. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and weekend. Talk to you all tomorrow. Talk to you all on Monday. Bye now. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your Friday.